Hi everyone, it's Shari Carroll for Simon Says Stamp with a STAMPtember exclusive, and this is the Pretty Pink Posh Damask Greetings. This is a beautiful set. It has several of the damask images. It has 6 smaller ones in the bottom, which I'm going to mainly use, and some larger ones at the top. I have some fog cardstock here, and I've placed one of the damask greetings, or one of the damask images, onto the door, and I'm using fog ink. I'm using a lot of inks that go really well together and with different tones or value. So the fog ink gives me a really nice shade of fog on fog, so it's almost like a watermark. Instead of moving my stamp around, I am moving my paper, and I'll just keep that stamp in the same place and re-ink. I'm using the lines on my grid paper to keep everything aligned so that it is straight every time I stamp. And using the stamp platform is so easy just to ink and move my paper around. So I'm doing a third image here, and I've done it at the bottom. You can turn your paper upside down because these images are the same top to bottom. The next one I am doing is a swirly pattern, and this ink I'm using is smoke. So again, I'm just stamping and moving my paper and stamping again. I'll do just a couple of these images, and I'm not really placing them perfectly in any type of block or pattern. I'm letting them overlap slightly, and then using a different color ink with each stamp. This one I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Pigment White ink, and it's just a really nice light hint of white. It doesn't show up very well on screen, but it will show up in the photo towards the end. At this point I have a lot of tone-on-tone colors, and the next color I'm adding is steel blue, and I've already inked that up. I want to wipe around this to make sure I don't get ink on my cardstock when I press this down. So this is a really beautiful blue. It stamps quite dark in the beginning, but as these inks work into the paper, they lighten up. If you wanted to make this a more feminine card, you could use some pinks or oranges even on the fog cardstock, but I'm going more for a masculine look or a gender neutral look. I'm pressing down the second image of that damask now, and I have a really nice arrangement going on. With the largest damask, I'm going to stamp the main feature, and I'm using my anti-static bag on some fog cardstock. I want to do fog on fog, and I'll be silver embossing this one. So I'll be using the Simon Says Stamp clear ink, and I'll ink this up really well. And once again, give it some pressure, and I have my watermark image. I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Silver Fine Detail Embossing Powder, and I just have a piece of scrap paper to catch the excess. So I'll just sprinkle this on to that image, and then I can tap that off. I'll be heat setting this with my heat gun, and I do like to heat that up a bit before I emboss some of the metallic type embossing powders, and this will make them really quite shiny. So I'll catch some light, and you can see that's a really beautiful embossed image. So I have cut this out. I have fussy cut it with some small scissors, and I'll be adding it to my piece, but I want to lift this up a little bit, so I'm using small strips of my dimensional tape and just putting that onto the back. Once I have enough of that foam tape on the back, I can go ahead and put it onto my front panel. I have figured out an easy way to stamp onto strips of paper, and especially for my messages using the stamp platform. So I've positioned my stamp down, and I've put some ink down, and now I have it on the grid paper, and I can put my paper right in place over that image and position this exactly where I want it. And once I have that in place, I can use my magnets to hold the paper in place, and then I can ink up my stamp with the ink color that I want and shut the door. Give that a good press. It's really easy to do. I like to kind of wipe my fingers across that stamp as well, and now I have perfect placement of my greeting. I've put everything together on my card, and I've clipped my message strip into a banner cut, and I've tucked it right under that main embossed damask. I hope you've enjoyed my tutorial on using the Pretty Pink Posh Damask Greetings, one of the exclusive sets for Simon Says Stamp STAMPtember. And as always, thanks so much for watching.